Hey, welcome back. I am so glad you are here. I'm taking this rocking chair that is a little beat up, a little dusty, a little dirty. It's over 70 years old, and I am going to refinish it for my client. They brought it to me. It was her father's. He is over 70 years old. And she is giving it to her grandson. So I'm a little precious about working on this. Taking all this twine off. Definitely should have been wearing a mask for that. I didn't even think about it, honestly, because I wasn't in the mind process of that. Pulling out the nails that all the twine was wrapped around, and now I'm just giving it a good cleaning because honestly, it was so dusty and dirty and grimy, but it had been sitting in a barn in storage. So, like I said, I was super precious about working on this, wiping it down again. I cleaned it probably 2 or 3 times. And here I'm just testing different methods on how I want to start taking the paint off. There's only a few flat surfaces on it. Use my sander, use a scraper, clean it off. This is me using some acetone. It softened up the paint a little bit. I was able to scrape some there off the handles, but it really just made things gummy more than anything, enough to where I just didn't really feel like it was helping at all. So I gave that up, and now you see here I have got the citrus strip out. I'm just coating the the chair. I'm gonna wrap it in saran wrap because I'm gonna leave it for longer than it says to. But yeah, I'm just coating the back and one side at a time just to keep everything from drying out too much. Evidently I forgot to film a bunch of it, but I did that a few times. Scraped, sanded, got it down to this. And I just sanded, and I sanded, and I sanded. I got the squishy foam sanding pad, put that on. I did start with 80 grit where I felt comfortable, where I didn't think I would misshape the wood. But this is me in my wishful thinking. I was hoping that tub was going to be bigger than it was, and it was going to be to a point where I thought I might be able to just dip the whole pieces of the chair into a stripper, because now I'm using a different stripper because citrus strip was great for the top, the bulk of it, but some of it is just being super stubborn and not coming off, so I wanted a little stronger. So I'm going with here. A lot of scraping, a lot of wire brushing. I've got different scrapers, and I've got more that are going to be used here in a little bit. The hardest part was the joints where everything meets together. I just couldn't really get in there with anything. I have some specialty, almost look like toothpick sanding pieces, and they just weren't working either. Using acetone again to try to gum up that stuff around the joints a little bit. So you see me hanging the rag there in each joint before I work on it a little bit. It just didn't really help. So now I've got the big tools out, the professional tools. Finally decided I didn't want to mess with the fumes, and finally got my mask on. Took me a while, but I got there. Also, I'm getting pretty close, up close and personal with this paint, and it was honestly probably lead paint. I will test next time, but decided to wear some solid PPE to get this done. But as you can see, every time I mess with it, a little bit more comes off, and it just keeps getting better and better. Finally getting it down to this point got me really excited to see what it was going to look like finished. But I got this, it was a detail scraper and a carbide scraper. I got them both from Rockler. I will link them down below if I can. But the detail scraper was a game changer. It just came in clutch. And honestly, I would have been using it before, but I forgot I had it. So I decided one night to go to Lowe's to see if I could find anything, and I found this spray-on paint stripper. It said to leave it for 15 minutes. I sprayed it on the joints specifically and left for the night. So it got a lot more time on there than recommended, but I think that did the trick. You can see it didn't really dry up or dissolve. So it just kind of sat on there and helped tremendously. And that was actually the game changer for all those joints. I cleaned it up here. After I'm done, wiped it down with mineral spirits, let it dry, and gave it a finish sanding here in a little bit. But seeing it wiped down with mineral spirits just got me excited. Like, look, that is so beautiful. But red paint is now my mortal enemy, because it will never fully come out of that chair. Granted, it was on that wood for 70 years. It is soaked into the grain of it, and it's just not all going to come out. So if we had left it bare wood, there was always going to be a red tint to it. So I brought the client in, we discussed it, and decided to go with Minwax Dark Walnut stain. And I think you'll see it worked beautifully. Going over it one more time with a fine grit just to make it smooth. Get it all cleaned up before I start to put the stain on it. This was just also awkward to work with. I took it on because I knew it was going to be a small piece and it wasn't going to be overwhelming to deal with, because I could, pick it up and move it easily. But I think that also made it a little bit harder unexpectedly. All total, this took me about 6.5 hours. At least that's how much video I uploaded when I started this video. And I think I about got everything except what I accidentally deleted, maybe 20 or 30 minutes of sanding. So, man, look at that. Oh, it looks so good. And here we are going with the dark walnut. I thought it was going to be about the only thing that was going to cover up that red tint. I don't know if it was the only thing, but it sure covered it up and just made it look stunning. Just so beautiful. I'm so glad that she approved when we went with this, because I didn't want it to look red all the time for the next owner, after her grandson passes it on, they may want to paint it back red, but I'm glad we went with what we did. This is me using a Watco spray lacquer. Put 3 or 4 coats on it. And this is the hardest part. I had never done a seat, anything like that. I got this mule tape, polyester webbing, and tied it on. I wanted to staple it, the end there on, but it had all those nails in those braces, and I just felt like that would weaken the wood a little bit more than I was comfortable with. So I just kept wrapping it around and wove that end in. I will say, for my first job like this, I'm pretty happy with my results, and I do think the next one will be better if I ever do one again. So there are places on here where you can tell that it's not perfect, but all in all, I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I got the first. Also, there was probably a better way to do that than to use it all still wrapped up in a spool. It drove me crazy. You can see me clamping it on the ends. So, yeah. When I went back over on the reverse side, I taped the end to a paint stir stick and weaved it through the top layer there. It made it so much easier. And somehow, even though I measured what I thought was pretty well, I ended up having a lot of this left over. And that would have helped too, not having so much. You may be happy to know that I have a new camera in, so I will be filming vertically with my phone for the socials and shorts. But I will be able to do horizontal videos from here on out for the longer full videos on YouTube. So here at the end, I ended up having to weave that last row by hand, but trying to tie it off and do all that, I just ended up making several knots around several different pieces, and tried to tuck it in the bottom, in between the top weave and the bottom layer. So you can see a knot under there, but all in all, it's gonna hold a kid, and I'm really happy with it. So yeah. Thanks for watching, and I hope you come back. I'll have plenty more refinishing videos coming up.